Hey yarn friends, welcome back to LlamaMamaKayla's Yarn Tube. Thanks for stopping by today to see what I'm making. And today I am making a pumpkin trick-or-treat bag. So it has the built-in handle, and I made it look like a pumpkin. Here's the other side. So it is a great little tote bag, trick-or-treat bag. And let's see, we can measure this real quick just to see how tall it is. It is 12 inches tall, and it is about a little over, tiny bit over 9 inches wide. But it looks like it would hold a lot of candy or goodies or small toys and such. Okay, and so what you're going to need to make this is the 41 circle loom, the 41 pegs. And I used my pick, of course, my scissors, and I used Craft Smart yarn. I don't know where the label went, but this is a Craft Smart bright orange. They have, at my Michael's, they have two different color oranges. One of them is kind of a dull orange, and one of them is a bright orange, and I made this with a bright orange. So let's get busy and make a pumpkin Halloween trick-or-treat bag. Thanks for joining in, and let's get to making it. Okay, to get started on this project, I'm using my 41 peg circle loom. This is a large gauge loom, so we're going to use 2 strands of yarn held together as one. But before we get started, we need to mark our pegs. So I'm counting this as my peg number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have a marker at peg number 7. You can use something like masking tape, washi tape. You can use a little rubber band on your peg, just whatever you are comfortable using as a stitch marker or a marker, to mark your peg. So this is number 7 that we have marked. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I have a mark your peg number 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So we're going to mark peg 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Mark peg number 35. Okay, and we're not going to use those right away, but we will soon. So you might want to go ahead and mark them, especially if you're putting a rubber band around your peg or something like that. Okay, but let's get started. I'm using 2 strands, and I'm making a slip knot, and I'm going to place this on my peg 1. All right. I'll raise my camera up a little bit since this loom is so big. And I'm going to E-wrap all the way around every peg, making sure that, I'm holding both strands together and one doesn't get loose. Okay, and we are going to be working in the round, so we're just going to continue to E-wrap again. And this will be the E-wrap cast on. So I'm just going to cross on over to back to my peg 1 and E-wrap. It does not matter which direction you go in. If you're more comfortable going in the other direction, that's perfectly fine. Whatever works for you. Okay, so I am back at the last peg, and both of my strands did not wrap around it. So, pulling out a little more yarn and E-wrap my last peg. Okay. Now I'm going to just yarn over the bottom loops, go over the top loop and over the peg. So we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so now we have completed our E-wrap cast on. So our next row is going to be a row of pearls. So to purl, you hold your yarn under your loop, go through the top of your loop, reach way down, pick up your both strands of yarn, pull up a loop, pop it off the peg, and put your new loop on the peg and tighten it down. Okay, that's all you do to purl. Okay, so I'm going to complete this whole row of pearls all the way around, and I will meet you back up. Okay, I have completed a row of the E-wrap cast on and a row of pearls all the way around. So I'm calling that the E-wrap and the purl a set of E-wraps and pearls. So we are going to do 3 E-wrap purl sets. So on this round, I'm going to E-wrap, and then I'm going to purl, and then I'm going to do one more round of E-wraps and pearls. And then I will meet you back right here to discuss what we do next. So you can go ahead and do 2 more sets of E-wrap and purl. Okay, I have completed 3 sets of the E-wrap and purl. So on this row, we are going to E-wrap, and we're going to start our handle for the tote bag. Okay, so here I have my first stitch marker. So I'm going to E-wrap that and E-wrap the next one. So this is the E-wrapped and E-wrapped. And we're going to start a bind off right here. And we're going to take this loop and move it over to this previous peg. And you can tighten up your yarn a little. Bring the bottom loop up over. Okay, and then we're going to take this loop and move it over to that second peg. Okay, so now we're going to E-wrap one more and yarn over. Take this loop and we're going to move it to the previous peg. Take that loop and move it back over. Okay, and we're going to continue to do that for this whole little section that we have marked off. Okay, so now that creates our handle for the bag. Okay, so this part will be the handle. So just carry on with E-wrapping. Sorry, I didn't raise the camera back up. Just carry on with E-wrapping around. Until you get to your next section that is designated, marked off for the handle. So we're going to E-wrap and E-wrap. We're going to yarn over on both of these pegs. And do the same thing that we did on the other side. Okay, so we got one more to do. All right, and now we're just going to continue to E-wrap the rest of the pegs. All right, and now we're going to yarn over all of the bottom loops. All right, we come back here to the back of the loom and do the same thing. Okay, so now we're ready to put yarn back on these pegs that we took the yarn off. So what we're going to do on this one is we're going to purl. Okay, and when we get to the empty peg, we are going to E-wrap. So we're just going to E-wrap around these pegs. And then we're going to purl again. Okay, I need to pull out some more yarn. So give me a second. Okay, so now we're back to our empty pegs, and we're just going to E-wrap. And then when we get back to the peg that has yarn, we're going to purl. Okay, so for this next row, we are going to E-wrap. Just E-wrap the whole loom. Okay, and then just yarn over. Okay, we're back to the end. And so the next row we're going to purl, and then we're going to do one more set of E-wraps and purls. So purl this row, E-wrap the next row, and then purl one more time. So that'll be 2 sets of E-wraps and purls, and I will meet you back when I have finished E-wrapping and purling 2 sets. Okay, I finished those 2 sets of E-wraps and pearls. So that created our handle and then started the rest of our bag. So we're finished with the handle area. So the rest of the bag is going to be E-wraps. She's going to E-wrap every peg on every row. And I will be right back to let you know how many rows I decided on for my bag. Okay, I finished E-wrapping my rows, and I ended up E-wrapping 30 rows to complete my trick-or-treat bag here. So you can see we have this built-in handle that we created. Next, we need to take our bag off the loom. We're going to need a super long tail for this. So we're going to wrap our working yarn. We only need 1 strand. Sorry about that. So we're going to take 1 strand and snip it off, leaving a tail that we're going to be able to tie it off good with. The other yarn we're going to wrap around the loom 1 time, 2 times, and I'm not pulling this super tight, it is loose. At least 2.5 times. And it can go a little more than 2.5. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and with this tail, I'm going to tie it off with this yarn, but just tying it just like that won't really solve anything. So we need to bring it in through a stitch. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just coming over here to the side, and I'm going to bring it in between those 2 strands of yarn. So we get 2 strands here. I just brought it in between that. And I'm just going to tie it real quick to this, just so this does stay secured. And then we'll probably tie it off again later. Okay, so that was tied on our last peg. Now lay your yarn across your first peg, go to the second peg, and we're going to do this flat bind off. And pull your yarn all the way through. And then come back to your first peg and bring your yarn over on the top of your yarn. Come in from the bottom, reach up and grab that strand of yarn. And pull it through all the way. Okay, so then lay your yarn across the second peg. Come to the third peg, and come down from the top, grab your yarn and bring it out the top. Now go back to the previous peg, lay it across above your yarn and go in from the bottom, reach in and pull it all the way out the bottom. We're going to do this all the way around the loom until we get back to the last peg. So I'm going to show you a couple more times. This bind off does take a little while to do. It does take some effort, but it is worth it in the end to give a nice flat bind off. Okay, so I think you might have the hang of that now. Just keep going all the way around. And I will meet you back when I get to the last peg. Okay, I'm almost done. I just wanted to come back and show you how I finished it. And here's the last peg. Alright, and I am going to go through that last peg one more time. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up in the first peg that we did also. And then I'm going to tie these two strands together. Okay, and we don't have enough tail to sew anything together with, so I'm just going to clip this tail off, and now we can pop all of our pegs, stitches off of the pegs, and I will meet you back up in just a moment. Okay, I have my bag off of the loom. Here's our anchor tail that we haven't weaved in yet, so just leave that. And you can see we have our handle. So get your bag laying flat with your handle in the center. And then I'm going to pick a side, and I'm just going to come through. I snipped a long tail piece of yarn here to work with. So I'm just going to come through and tie this yarn in. And I'm going to leave enough tail that I can take it to the inside. Okay, and then we're just going to grab our stitches and whip stitch our project together across the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going and pick up stitches and just whip stitch this together. Alright, so you can just keep going all the way across the bottom, and I will meet back up with you in just a moment. Okay, I have my bag whip stitched all the way across the bottom, and so I'm going to take my yarn and I'm just going to slip it in between stitches and put it inside the bag. And the same thing over here on this side. I'm just going to take my end here and I'm just going to push it through. I might still have to grab it from the inside, yeah. It'd be easier if I put it on a needle, wouldn't it? Okay, and so I'm just going to turn my bag kind of wrong side out there for a moment. Okay, so I have my ends pulled inside, but I'm not going to like pull it really, really super tight because I don't want to change the shape of the bottom of the bag. But I am going to tie this off a couple of times right here. Okay, so that's 3 times. I feel like that's probably good. You can weave it in if you want. That's the inside of a trick-or-treat bag, so I'm going to let it go. Okay, and on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to tie this off a few times. Okay, and the last thing we need to do with ends is weave in our tail from our slip knot. So I'm trying to make sure I'm doing this on the right side. This is the outside out here. So I want to take this and just push it through so it's on, goes to the inside of the bag, because my bag is turned wrong side out right now. And then we're just gonna go down and right up under the top stitches, and make sure you can't see your needle on the back side, and then pull your yarn through.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
And come back up. Okay, and then I want to try to go down one more time, and then I'm going to snip the yarn. Alright, and then I'm going to snip off the little tail that's hanging out. And my Halloween bag is made, but I'm going to turn it into a pumpkin Halloween bag. So I am going to put, excuse me, I'm going to put a face on it. I found this black felt at Dollar Tree. Crafter Square is a felt roll, and it's a good bit of felt on here. When I picked it up and purchased it, I really wasn't thinking about how much felt was on it. But once I started to use it, I noticed that there's a lot of felt there. It says it's 11.75 inches times 48 inches. So it is a lot of felt. It's a thin felt, but it still works. Okay, so I took just a piece of cardstock, some that came in the mail, and I cut a triangle that I thought would fit nicely on this. And I'm just going to lay it on the felt. And okay, just use that as my template. So I'm cutting 3 triangles, 1 for the nose and 2 for eyes. And just mess around with it till you're happy with the way yours looks. And I also cut another piece for the mouth, and I'm going to give him a great big smile, I believe. Okay, and just to show you how I'm going to do this, I'm going to take a magazine here and just put on the inside, just to make sure my glue doesn't leak through and go to the back side, the back part of the bag. And I have this adhesive fix-all glue that I also purchased at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use that as my glue. So I'm going to just smear it around. Okay. Then I'm going to place that on my bag and kind of gently press it down. And that's why I put the magazine, because I didn't want to excuse me. I did not want the glue to come back through and go to the other side of the bag and glue that together. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to continue to glue mine on and cut my mouth and glue it on, and I'll be right back. All right, I have completed my pumpkin trick-or-treat bag that we made on the 41 peg loom, and I really like how it turned out. Here's the back side, and here is the front side where I glued all my pieces on, and I let those dry real good before I took the magazine out. But anyway, I think it turned out great. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you watching, and I'll be back with something else pretty soon.